Good morning. We're going to talk about Ciara Russell Wilson and Slim Thug. So Slim Thug drops by a studio on a local station 97.9 to share an interesting conspiracy theory. He thinks the relationship of Russell Wilson and Ciara is a sham. Slim Thug says, a he said, I don't believe it. I think it's all for financial stability. Ciara and Future began dating in 2013. The romance snowballed as they worked on music projects together, got engaged, and had their adorable son, baby Future. 2014, the cheating rumors came. It was over soon after Ciara hooked up with Russell Wilson. They since gotten married and had a baby of their own. Now, some thug says, there's no hate. Russell is just a corny dude. Ain't nothing wrong with it. Thug says, I'm not going to say because that is hating, but just a square. I don't believe a girl coming from a street dude could even adapt to a corny dude, basically is what he's saying. So what my opinion is this. I can understand where Slim Thug is coming from because he's talking about making a transition from a street dude to a square dude. And a square dude is a man that is established, has money. He has earned his income the right way and not the wrong way. He's college bound. He's come from maybe a 2-parent household, and he's on the right track. He's not in the street. That's a corny dude, according to Slim Thug. And he's saying that when a female messes with a thug, she can't transition to a corny dude. It doesn't work like that. And I understand what he's saying because, my children's father is a street dude. And it takes a while to transition from that type of dude to a dude that is on the straight and narrow. It does. It's something you got to adapt to. But and I said that because I understand what he's saying, because he's explaining what I found out. When you dating these street dudes, you're actually dating a narcissist. And I had to understand what narcissism is. Narcissism is about financial gain, self-importance. And most street dudes are very self-important. They're not worried about taking care of no kids. They're not worried about being no family man, none of that. And the only way that they do think about family and all that is if they are not going to be a statistic of letting their child not have. So not every street dude abandons their children, but a large statistic of them do, because they're very self-important, which is why I'm explaining narcissism. Narcissism is a person that is a lost soul, basically a person that just is all about themselves. And a lot of street dudes are narcissistic. So if you ever look on YouTube or Google narcissism, when you mess with somebody that's a narcissist and you leave them, it is a transition that you have to go through, because that person is more than likely abusive, disrespectful, and when you leave them, you're going to leave half of your self-esteem with them, because you're basically been infected by this person with their their ways, their narcissistic ways. And I know when Jay-Z wrote the song Reasonable Doubt, he said in one of his lyrics that the longer that these dudes stay in the street, they become crazy. So making a transition from that type of dude to a square dude is it is a transition. But like the movie Friday, when Smokey Mom gave him $2 and he said this is not enough, and she said well, make it enough. Black women will make it work. Okay, so for Slim Thug to say that he doesn't think that that is real, no, black women can make stuff like that work. Like, they can get with the wrong man and say, okay, I'm moving on to a good man. Okay, it can work, we can make it work. But it is a transition when you deal with a man like that. So I understand both sides of the story. Like, when you come to my channel, please understand, when I look at stories, I'm a Libra. So I weigh stories on my scale, and I look at both sides. I understand what he's saying, because these thug dudes are narcissistic. So when you date them and you have children by them, this is why a lot of them have a lot of problems. You end up taking care of the baby by yourself because he's so self-important. He ain't got time to worry about no baby. He's worried about money and having all his money and flossing for the gram. He ain't got time to pay your bills or give you money for Pampers and milk. So you got to struggle. That's the narcissistic thug. So Slim Thug is saying that is hard for a woman to come from that and go to a square dude. And a lot of women do, once they find out the thug is not what they want, they do try to find a square dude to take care of the mess or clean up the mess. So I understand. And like I said, black women are going to make it work. That doesn't mean that her relationship is a sham. What Ciara did was leveled up. She moved on. And black women are going to do that. Like, if we get the wrong man, we're going to move on. We're not going to stay around and keep on messing with no narcissistic man who ain't thinking about you, because the thug culture is a bunch of narcissists. A lot of them come from single parent homes, and sometimes these thugs come from 2-parent homes, and it's just still dysfunctional. And when you have to transition from that to that, I can understand what he's saying, but I can also understand that Ciara said, look, I'm moving on. I ain't got time for no future. He's thinking about himself. Let him think about himself in his corner with his money. I'll go over here with a man that's ready to raise a family. See, these dudes that Slim Thug calls corny, these are black men that are pillars of the community that want to raise their family, that want to do right. So why is this type of man looked at as being corny? That's what I cannot subscribe to with Slim Thug. And I see why he is not popping right now, because the stuff he said was stupid. Like, come on. I can understand what he's saying, but to say that a black man that's doing right by his family is corny, I can't co-sign that. I can't co-sign. That's not corny. That's what you're supposed to do. You're not supposed to be no narcissist running around with stacks of money up to your ear, spending 50 grand on a car, and your kids are starving, or your baby mamas are living in Section 8 while you living in Beverly Hills or Hollywood, and all you eating steak and they eating oodles of noodles and shit like that. That's narcissistic behavior. And if you weigh the thug life, that's what the thug life is. It's a narcissist. It's a person that's all about themselves. They don't worry about kids. Narcissists cannot be bothered with kids. Kids are not their favorite. They can't be tied down. They don't want to do anything. So Yeah, that could be a hard transition because they tell you when you leave a narcissist, you have to heal because you become a narcissist yourself. But you can make it work just like Ciara did. She made it work. She moved on and found a man that is going to take care of his family and not run around with all these women and be all about himself, which is what narcissists do. So tell me what you think about Slim Thug and his theory.